Build creative confidence. Beat the inspiration addiction. Join the Writer's Gym. Hi, Sarah.
Hello. Hi, Rachel. It's really nice to see you, to talk to you.
It's lovely to see you. Thank you for coming to talk to me.
Well, I'm very happy because I think last time we talked, you were interviewing me, but this time I'm interviewing you. So, I feel like I have the power. So I'm very...
You totally have the power. The power is all yours. I will sit here, drink water from my skull glass and be happy.
Oh, perfect. Well, yeah, I'm really, really excited. Today, I want to talk to you about the sponsored write that you organise. And I've been involved in this for the last couple of years, but I know it's been going on a while. So I just wanted to ask you some questions and find out more about it.
That would be great.
Fantastic. So first of all, can you tell us what is the sponsored write? How does it work? And what is it supporting?
Thank you. The sponsored write, or Green Ink Sponsored Write, to give it its full name, came about in around 2009, 2010. I wanted to do something for Macmillan Cancer Support, which was my friend Sophie's chosen charity when she died when we were 25. Sophie was somebody I was at youth theatre with, and I then went to university with. And she was somebody who'd been really, really helpful to me when I was transferring from a really difficult sixth form experience and very frightened to go to university because I thought it was going to be more of the same. And she said something that meant a huge amount to me, which turned out to be completely true, which is that at university, there's none of the sort of nonsense of everybody commenting on each other or judging each other. If you want to go to the cafe and ignore everybody, you do. If you want to go clubbing, you do. And there was no judgment. And at the time, that was something that was very, very important to me. And I've always remembered that conversation. There's lots and lots of other things I remember, but mainly it was her understanding people were people. And I suppose the reason it's relevant to me is that it does overlap with what Macmillan's mission is, which is quality of life for everyone affected by cancer. So everyone means everyone. And I sometimes go through phases of I wasn't her best friend. I wasn't one of the people that was closest to her, but we were friends. Yes, I have the right to think of her. Yes, I have the right to do this in memory of her. And, imposter syndrome comes up again and again in people's lives. And this is just something in mine. But her saying that to me reminds me of what the sponsored write went on to do, which is to support that mission of quality of life for everyone affected by cancer. You ring the helpline, whoever you are, whatever it's about. And even in the last month, actually, I was talking to one, I won't say names obviously, but one author who is a thriller writer that I really admire, who did not understand that these things were there for him. It was, I keep hearing from various people who think there's so many people more deserving than me, and everyone's thinking that, but it's not a competition. You're there with your own story, and that's what quality of life is all about. So Green Ink Sponsored Write came about because I didn't want to do a sponsored swim. I didn't want to do a sponsored jump out of an airplane with a parachute. Did not appeal at all. And I thought, what do I really want to do? And this was years before I discovered coaching. It was years before I had that vocabulary and knew how important talking to and about yourself and your life like that is. And I was sitting in a branch of Starbucks, which is green, which was Sophie's favourite cafe, or one of, in Ealing, where we grew up. And that idea just arrived in a way that felt like an instruction. At this point in my life, I didn't know many professional writers. I wasn't one yet. And I knew I wanted to do that. So I just remember sitting there and the green felt relevant, that it was the green of Starbucks, the green of Macmillan Cancer Support. So what I formed after Sophie died was originally a theatre company, Green Ink Theatre, and we put on a Terry Pratchett play, which Sophie and I had some stuff to do with beforehand, in memory of Sophie. And then after that, I thought, newsflash, there are more financially helpful ways than putting an entire production together. Let's think about how else this could work. And new writing was something I liked a lot. So what evolved from it being at first a play and then a showcase of writing, it moved more and more away from theatre as my life moved more and more away from theatre. And so over the last decade and a half, good God, it has become, it makes you realise, doesn't it? It has become what it is now, which is entirely about what is going to make the writing come into the world, make the money for the charity. It's absolutely what do we need to do to make that happen. So everybody involved writes from home. Originally we were in cafes and things, but then lockdown happened, and who knew writers actually quite like writing at home or in their cafe. So it works really well that we meet in our Zoom room from all over the place, those who want to, and we're each writing at home, and then we have a Zoom drink at the end of the day. But what we do is we take a theme each year that is something to do with quality of life or something to do with green or both. And this year it's Somewhere That's Green, Paradises, Utopias and Happy Places, and that was chosen by Rhianna Pratchett. And I think it's an absolutely beautiful one, and people will subvert it how they want, or they will, they do absolutely what they want with it. There's no word count, there's no genre, there's no am I allowed to do A, B or C. Yes, you are. It's your time you're donating. So if you come out with a limerick or half a line of a poem or anything, that the contract is your time. We're being sponsored for our time, because in the end, what's all of this about? What's Macmillan about? Quality of having the time that you can have, and that's really what we are. That's us.
Oh, and it's so lovely, isn't it? And I think because it's obviously such a brilliant thing to be supporting, and I think it is, as you say. I mean, people do amazing things, right? They jump out of airplanes, they go swimming, but I think the writing is really great, and for writers to feel they can be involved. And that it's sometimes we feel, oh, we're just writing for ourselves and it's a sort of selfish thing. But this is I can just write and get anything down, and it doesn't have to be, perfect. It doesn't have to be fully formed. It is, it's giving that time. And you sort of feel as well, writing with all these other writers, it's this sense of community, which I know is also something, that's really important for Macmillan.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of really important things in there. One of which is the community, that everybody else is doing their own thing, and something that Kaylee Dobbs, who I interviewed recently, founder of Happy Goat Horror and author with Black Shack Books, she was talking about how she felt this ability to deal with because there was a grief instance in her life, and she was sort of surprised by how processable that became in that particular writing environment. She said she really felt the camaraderie of it, the community of it. It's sort of reminder that we all have the same emotions, we all have these same things that we're going through. And I think everyone, I don't think this is just writers, but I absolutely see it in writers a lot, that feeling that if you're doing something that you're good at and you enjoy, that's somehow being selfish. And actually, it's amazing how we'll put this energy into getting in our own way rather than doing the thing that we do as well as possible. And for me, this is about combining those factors, that writing is something I love. It's something that's important to me. It's something I believe is important, full stop. I want to put my energy and my time into becoming the best form of the writer that I can be. And this was a way of doing that. And absolutely, I don't think selfish versus unselfish is the point. I think, we, in Jewish ethics, there's a phrase, tikkun olam, repairing the world, that your job is to do a little bit and everybody else's job is to do a little bit, and you do your little bit and your little bit will be a different bit to somebody else's. And so it was purely selfish on one level. I wanted to do more writing. I knew that my lack of confidence was getting in the way. So by doing it for Macmillan wins out of that. I win out of that. Yeah. The universe is a tiny little bit better. And I remember actually one guy who was a member of one of my courses a long while back. This was before the Writers' Gym was an actual membership. I remember him doing this slightly apologetic post about, I know other people are leaping out of an aeroplane or doing this and the other. And I'm just sitting there thinking, and actually my Macmillan officer pointed this out as well. We don't spend any money on petrol. That aeroplane isn't propelling itself. There's fuel going into that. It's so cost free to the earth and to everything else. It all goes through the one Just Giving page. So it's not making extra work for people with sponsorship pages. It's just a nicely propelled, streamlined, that's what I mean, way of making this happen. And that's a good thing. So that's a nice thing. And the other thing I think is really lovely is it's the equalizing of it, that we're all writers, and some of us, like, there will be people in that room that look at what your novel has achieved, and they will be going, ooh, proper writer, and that will be a big thing. But as I look at your face, I know that the truth for you is different to the truth for them, but it doesn't make either less true. Do you see what I mean? That for them, they're looking at that going, that's almost unimaginably big. And then when one is at whatever stage one is at, we're looking at other people going, and that is enormous. And it's the human condition. And I think that's a really nice thing, is that there are members of the Writers' Gym who are novelists, who are published in all sorts of things, and are members of this. And I think the members who are not yet published and want to be, I think that's a really good thing for them, because it's another reminder that we are humans exploring, expressing, you know, and I think the sponsored writer is a really lovely way of having that community as well. So that's something else that's important to me.
Yeah. And I think it's a great way of sort of just, because there's not enough time, right? So you have this very fixed time to write, and then a little bit of time to edit, and then that's it. And it's kind of great to just go, oh, well, I know it's not perfect, and just send it, send it out, because I think as writers, we spend so much time going, oh, it needs to be, something we're doing needs to be perfect. Yeah, I know I
have a bookmark for that. Yeah. I'm just going to get the bookmark on that because, for people not watching on YouTube and just listening to this, the Writer's Gym bookmark from last year, because I do a different thing for my members every year, but on one side it says there may be 7 basic plots, but there are infinite original voices. And then on the other, there's a bunch of phrases that my big thing is the best writing advice is never about writing, and never really advice. It's reminders. So one of them, and I can go through the others at some point, but one of them you can just see down here is perfect was never on the menu. And I think that's so important, that you can only be honest. There's stuff in your head and you can get it onto the page honestly. But the minute something's trying to be perfect, there's that lovely Leonard Cohen line, there is a crack in everything, that's how the light gets in. And the sort of Chinese pottery, I think it is, where you deliberately fix any imperfection or any crack in gold. And, you know, I've been a lot happier since I stopped trying to be this vague feeling I had that I was meant to be different or meant to be something else. And the honest truth is, you know, what makes good writing is writing flawed human beings, that they're all growing. And, you know, it doesn't mean that I feel 100% confident, because nobody does. It means that I realize that it's normal to not, and that it's okay to not. And that all you can be is curious. You know, you can be curious about your writing. Confidence comes from focus. It comes from focusing on the message, not the messenger. So I think all of this has been personally very helpful to me. And I think it is important that we champion that, because, you know, for every fear or every worry that we have, or for every sense of, I wish I'd done this earlier, or I wish I'd done this differently, there's somebody doing that even more. You know, that's going on for someone even more. So I think it's just important that everybody sees that it's happening to everybody else as well. And we do our bit our way.
Yes, exactly. Which is, and it's lovely. And again, it gives you that focus, I think, as, you know, as a writer, focus, but then, getting away from all those things that I know you always try, you always talk about so much. Yes. About not being perfect, about, you know, just kind of, it's the writing, it's you. But just talking about, you know, you and your role in it is still very, is very, very important. And it's a big organizational role for you as well. So can you just talk a little bit more about the kind of the challenges, but also the rewards for you organizing this? So it seems you wrangle all these writers, which I'm always incredibly impressed by, because writers are not easy to wrangle, right? But you manage it. So tell us how all that works. You know, challenges, rewards.
Yeah. I think the hardest thing about it, and why not start with that, is because everybody is so imposter syndrome filled and a little bit embarrassed about showing up for generally. It can be very hard. It's certainly been very hard for me, and I think it's hard for a lot of people to remember that the writing is a means to an end, that what we are here to do is make money for a charity we believe in. And that means telling people we're doing it. So anyone listening to my voice right now, the thing that you can do, whether you're writing for it or supporting it or have only just heard of it for the first time, is share the Just Giving page, encourage people to donate, even if it is literally 50p, or it can be hundreds of pounds. Don't let me stop you. But there's no minimum donation. Whatever you donate, you get that anthology that is digitally published by Steve Shaw of Black Shark Books 48 hours after the writing day finishes. And that is the big thing. The difficult thing is reminding people you're not being an arsehole by being, we need to communicate. It's not selfish. It's not wrong. It's getting out there on social media, harassing your friends. And the thing is that when I say it like that, it's because most of the time when people have said, yes, I'll donate, and they haven't done it yet, it's not because they don't want to. It's because 20 billion things are happening to them at once. And when there's something where you legitimately think, oh, yes, I can do that tomorrow, that's what you expect to do. So every year I will get somebody, probably somebody who's actually done it before, going, Is it too late the next day? And the answer, I'm afraid, is yeah. That page is open now. It's open until the writing day ends on the 18th of October because it is a world exclusive anthology. And what happens is after that world exclusive anthology has gone to our sponsors, in 6 months' time, all of the writers can use their piece for whatever they want to use their piece for. I mean, an example, Jennifer Stile, who is a Macmillan Service user and a wonderful, amazing novelist and journalist and critic and essayist, she has used the first story that she wrote for us for the anthology has gone on to become a murder mystery story that was published in a magazine in Canada, and it's now gone out on submission as a novel. So it's had, as you know, that things evolve and they can sort of spawn different things. It's already got those two sort of children, if you like, two new versions of it. And, you know, there's plenty of other examples like that it's very much the beginning of a lot of things. So that's not avoiding the question of writer wrangling, but I think that's the thing that sticks out for me. But what I would say is, because of just the nature of it, I need to keep the numbers to something sort of that you can communicate with. But anybody can do this at home. Anybody can sponsor themselves, put some money on the page and use that day to write. And I love hearing when people have done that. Like, everybody in the world could give themselves that day and do that. And just because it ain't in the anthology, don't mean it don't matter. You know, you will do something, you will put writing into the world. If I could organisationally have the world doing it, I would. But failing that, I will encourage and cheer as the world does it too. I don't know if that answers the question or is a completely different question.
No, that's right. And it says a little bit more about, how just how it works, and that, you know, the time frame for writing is a sort of, you know, it's a limited time frame, but then the time frame for the donations as well, donating. So it does, you know, it stops. There's a cut-off point, and then everybody who donates will get a copy of the anthology.
However small the donation, if you put something tiny on there, you still get it. Everything. It's only a cliche because it's so true. Yes, if this were fiction, you'd find another more character-specific way to say it. But on here, I will simply say there is no such thing as too small. Just get something on that page, which, by the way, is justgiving.com/page/somewhere-that's-green.
Oh, so lovely. And just maybe one more question.
Sure.
If I can, about so as you said, every year there's a prompt given by a writer. And this year, can you talk a little bit? How did you get Rhianna Pratchett to tell us about the fact that Rhianna Pratchett has given this great prompt?
I mean, you know, the honest answer is because I texted and asked her. So, you know, I'm not, what I do find it when I ask a different published author every year, and it's usually somebody who's very pro the cause but doesn't have the calendar space to do the writing. And I always point out, you know, you're making just as much, if not more, of a difference if you're loud about it to your friends and colleagues and followers and mailing lists than by necessarily doing the writing. There's so many ways to contribute. But Rhi had a very good excuse because she was creating a human being, and that takes a lot of time and energy. So I asked her and I can say that now because there's photos on social media. So he's out there in the world and very beautiful too.
Lovely.
Very, very beautiful too. And she said, you know, she asked me about previous titles, and I said, please don't overthink this. As with all things, something that's fun or interesting to you will be great. And so that was one. I mean, so she came up with that, and I just said that I love it. I just utterly love it. I'm going to also tell the story of one of my other favourite titles ever, which was I was having a coffee with my friend Kim Newman and saying, would you like to choose a title? And I think I was actually phrasing it more as, I can't think of one, because it was in the days before I'd realised, ask other people. That's a good idea, isn't it? And ask other people who are very, very good at writing. And I was talking to him, and just in that conversation, as I was a bit like I was explaining to you, I said it's always things to do with quality of life or green things. And he said, green things, that's a fabulous title. Yes, that is a fabulous title. So Kim Newman via me, I guess, a little bit, chose green things. And I just absolutely loved that as a title. I just thought that was superb.
You could get all sorts of directions with that.
I did. I mean, I talked about this in a mini episode of the podcast recently, that there's one of my favourite stories that I ever wrote that's in my first collection is called The Green Lady. And it's about this bottle opener who it's got a silver sort of smiley face and then a sort of green skirt. So when I moved in with Mark, my partner, I also moved in with this bottle opener, and I had this whole story about how, because actually Mark had taught me to use the bottle opener because hello dyspraxia, I was struggling. And in struggling with this bottle opener, literally, I had this idea of this girl who'd been taught how to do kitcheny things by a father who wasn't there anymore. And the story opens with what you think is him teaching her how to use this bottle opener. And then he freezes and you get the phone call, yes or no buttons. And it's someone calling and you realize he's gone and she's alone in this kitchen being taught these little videos and he's sort of on the cloud and had made a joke about that made her cry. And so it was thematically a lot of my associations with what I was doing here, but also bringing in things I've never had. A father in my life in that way, a university flat where lots of other people live. I've not done those things. So as ever, it's what I talk about in the Writers' Gym about. It's an opportunity to use your whole writer's palette. You've got your imagination, you've got your memory, you've got your observations, questions about the world, and you're completely free to mix those colours. And that was one of, I find that story absolutely joyous. I mean, I do know I made my editor cry when I sent it in, which is, always nice to know. So I'm pleased about that. But, what I'm trying to say is you never know what's going to turn up. And I think the more open you are to letting yourself enjoy the time, to not know what's coming, the more you're going to get something that really comes from you that you couldn't necessarily have predicted. Yeah.
Oh, well, I think is that a good place to stop and to just look forward to the 18th of October.
So I'll just go through that so it makes sense to everybody. You've got until the 18th of October, because I realise it can be a bit complicated if you haven't heard it before. It makes perfect sense to me, but it would do because it's been 15 years. 18th of October is the day we write. So we start at 10:30, we finish at 5:30, we take as many breaks as we want to, and then we have a Zoom drink at the end. But what that means is until the writing ends, you've got all of that time to send in any sponsorship donation. And then what happens is we finish writing and then we've got 24 hours to edit before we send it to, well, I have a quick look over it with my amazing assistant Bella at the Writers' Gym, who is co-editing. And then when we've gone through all of that, it then goes to Steve Shaw and he produces a beautiful digital anthology which goes out into the world 48 hours after the writing ends, so about 4:30, 5:30 on the Monday. One more shout out, because the cover this year is a photograph taken by a Writers' Gym member, Elspeth Hannon, and I think it is absolutely beautiful. So a shout out to Elspeth. Thank you for the photo, Elspeth.
Oh,
and thank you for the title, Rihanna.
Oh, and thank you, Rachel, for answering questions and organising all this. And I'm really looking forward to the writing day and then to read the anthology and hopefully sort of earn loads of money for Macmillan Cancer Support.
Absolutely. And it's justgiving.com/page/somewhere-that's-green. And every donation counts. So Sarah Brooks, Instant Sunday Times bestseller. Thank you for being a sponsored writer and thank you for coming to interview me.
Thank you for inviting me.
You've visited the Writers' Gym with author and coach Dr. Rachel Knightley. Production and sound design are by Ashley Lexine and theme music is by Chris Gregory. To join a Writers' Gym workout online or in London as a guest or as a member, visit writersgym.com or email thewritersgym@rachelknightley.com.